Welcome back, everybody. 11:12 is your time. As you know, it's election day, the last day Texans can weigh in on 17 state constitutional amendments. But voter turnout in these elections are typically low. Jenni Mazur and Grace Atkins with Texas 2036, a nonpartisan public policy think tank, joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
Yes, it's great having y'all. All right, so what does it mean to have low voter turnout? What does it mean for those amendments?
So oftentimes when we have an off-year election like we have now, it's not a primary election or a general election. We're not voting for governor or president. It's an off-year election. Voters typically aren't as enthusiastic as they are when you have a presidential or a governor candidate at the top of the ballot.
So what are y'all seeing so far? We have early voting numbers. What do you think?
So typically in constitutional amendment elections in the past couple years, we've seen voter turnout at about 1.4 to 2.5 million voters. We've actually seen incredible early voting turnout. We're at about 1.5 million in early voting turnout right now, which bodes well for very high turnout for the election overall. But like Jeremy said, that is usually lower than the average general or primary election.
We've got 17 constitutional amendments. I know there's a few that you guys are really pushing for. Let's talk about Props 1 and 4, Jeremy.
Yeah, so Prop 4, I'll talk about that and hand it over to Grace to talk about Prop 1. Creates a dedicated $1 billion per year funding stream to address our water infrastructure needs, fix failing water systems, develop water supplies, does not raise taxes. And if voters give Prop 4 the green light tonight, we're looking at about $20 billion that can go to work to addressing our long-term water infrastructure price tag of $154 billion.
We are in a water crisis. We're not just doing this because we have nothing better to do. We will run out of water if we don't do anything.
Yes, we certainly will. I mean, we're a drought-prone state, we're a growing state. We need to expand and diversify our water supply portfolio. And Proposition 4 is the state leadership and the legislature's proposal to voters to provide a solution to pay for the water infrastructure we need.
Okay, Grace, Prop 1?
Yeah, Prop 1 will provide an endowment for the Texas State Technical Colleges. They provide essential workforce training for our trades in our state. And currently the desire for these programs outweighs their ability to keep up with their capital construction and the just facility space that they have to provide these courses. So this will give them a long-term funding structure to be able to plan accordingly.
Of course, addressing the labor shortage the state is facing. So we've got two crises that that Texans can make a difference in tomorrow. All right, so who is the typical voter that votes today?
So oftentimes when we have these off-year elections, principally, it's like your conservative voter that shows up at the electorate. And we're seeing that already in early voting. We're about over 50% of early voters have a Republican voting history. About 35 to 40% have a Democratic voting history, and the rest are independents. But again, what's really unique here is we're still seeing strong early voting turnout. And I think what's also driving that, Jenny, are the local ballot propositions here in Travis County and in Bexar County as well, really generating a lot of that voter enthusiasm.
And typically, isn't it a homeowner? Because we have a couple of property taxes amendments on there as well. So we've got people who care about their money and their homes. And
yeah, I think there's a lot on both the state constitutional amendment ballot and the local ballots, depending on where you live, that drives some homeowner interest here. But I think it's important to note that these tax proposals also affect renters. If they increase property taxes, renters will pay more. Same thing with homestead exemptions that could also trickle down to save renters money.
No, that's right. We are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today to try to educate our voters before they head out to the polls. All right, Grace, over to you.